Captain Hyunwoo Kim stood on the observation deck of Earth's newest orbital station and watched the alien ships approach. The massive vessels moved through space like floating cities, their hulls gleaming with strange metals that seemed to bend light around them. He had dreamed of this moment since childhood, but now that it was happening, his stomach felt heavy with worry. Dr. So Young Park stood beside him, her scanner device beeping softly as it analyzed the approaching fleet. She was the smartest person. Hyunwoo knew, and if anyone could understand these aliens, it would be her. Commander Ji-ho Lee paced behind them, his hand never moving far from his weapon. Ambassador Taimin Choi sat at a nearby table, reading through diplomatic protocols one last time. The first alien ship docked with their station 3 hours later. The airlock hissed open, and Hyunwoo got his first look at Earth's visitors. They were tall and thin, with blue-gray skin that looked like polished stone. Their eyes were large and dark, and they moved with the slow confidence of beings who had never known fear. Behind them came shorter, stockier aliens with 4 arms and scaly skin. A third group looked almost human but had silver hair and pointed ears. The lead alien stepped forward and spoke in perfect English, though his voice sounded mechanical and cold. "I am Council Administrator Veltoth of the Corvani species. We represent the Galactic Council, rulers of this galaxy for 3,000 of your years. We have come to offer your species membership in our great civilization." Hyunwoo bowed politely, as they had practiced. "Welcome to Earth Station Alpha. I am Captain Hyunwoo Kim, representing the United Earth Government. We are honored by your visit." Veltoth looked around the station with obvious boredom. His dark eyes lingered on the human technology, and Hyunwoo could see disappointment in his expression. "Your primitive construction methods are adequate for your current development level. We have analyzed your species and placed you in Category 7 of Galactic Civilization rankings." So Young stepped forward with her brightest smile. "Category 7 sounds impressive. Could you tell us more about this ranking system?" The 4-armed alien behind Veltoth made a sound that might have been laughter. "Category 7 is the second lowest. Rating: human female. Only the completely savage species rank lower than you. Your technology is barely functional by galactic standards." Tae-min joined the conversation, keeping his voice diplomatic. "We appreciate your honest assessment. Perhaps you could explain what membership in the Galactic Council would mean for humanity?" Veltoth gestured dismissively. "Your species would serve the greater galactic community in ways suited to your limited abilities. Mining operations, basic manufacturing, food production for superior species. Simple tasks that require no real intelligence or creativity." Hyunwoo felt his jaw tighten, but he kept his expression neutral. "And in return, what would the Council provide to Earth? Protection from hostile species, basic technological upgrades to improve your efficiency, and the honor of serving beings far more advanced than yourselves." Veltoth spoke as if he was offering the greatest gift imaginable. "Many species before yours have thrived under Council guidance. The Zilani were once as backward as you, and now they operate our waste processing facilities across 17 star systems." So Young's scanner continued to beep quietly as she studied the aliens. She caught Hyunwoo's eye and gave him a nearly invisible nod. Whatever her device was telling her, she wanted him to keep the aliens talking. "This is certainly a generous offer," Ji-ho said, speaking for the first time. "I assume other species have accepted similar arrangements." The silver-haired alien stepped forward with what looked like a cruel smile. "Most species are wise enough to recognize the benefits of Council membership. Those few who have refused our generosity have learned the folly of their pride." "Could you elaborate on that?" Taemin asked carefully. Veltoth waved one long finger. "The humans need not concern themselves with such unpleasant topics. The important matter is your decision. We are prepared to be quite patient with your primitive decision-making process. We will grant you 30 of your Earth days to consider our offer." "And if we need more time?" Hyunwoo asked. "You will not need more time." Veltoth's voice carried absolute certainty. 30 days is more than sufficient for any reasonable species to recognize the wisdom of joining the Council. Those who have required more time to decide have inevitably made poor choices. The four-armed alien moved closer to examine a section of the station's wall. Your construction materials are even weaker than we estimated. These metal alloys would not survive a single pulse from our maintenance tools, much less any serious weapons fire. So Young's scanner beeped more rapidly, and she quickly adjusted its settings to run silently. Our engineering teams would be very interested to learn about your advanced construction methods. Perhaps during our consideration period we could arrange some technical exchanges. Veltoth looked at her as if she had asked to examine the secrets of the universe.
Category 7 species are not permitted access to advanced council technologies until they have proven their loyalty through years of faithful service. Your suggestion demonstrates exactly the kind of primitive thinking that necessitates council guidance. The meeting continued for 2 more hours.
The aliens toured the station, making dismissive comments about human technology and occasionally mentioning other species that had required correction for refusing council membership. They spoke about vast fleets that enforced council will across the galaxy, about worlds that had been pacified when their inhabitants proved unreasonable. As the aliens prepared to leave, Veltoth turned to address the human delegation one final time. Do not mistake our patience for weakness, humans. The Council has guided this galaxy for millennia. We have dealt with hundreds of species exactly like yours. Some learned wisdom quickly and now serve with honor. Others required more forceful education. We understand completely, Taemin replied with a diplomatic smile. Earth will give your offer the serious consideration it deserves. After the alien ships departed, the 4 humans sat in silence for several minutes. Finally, Ji-Ho spoke. Well, that was illuminating. So Young activated her scanner and began reviewing the data it had collected. Their technology is impressive, but not as advanced as they want us to believe. Their ship hulls show stress patterns consistent with materials that prioritize appearance over functionality. Their weapons signatures suggest they rely more on intimidation than actual firepower. What about their claims of galactic dominance? Hyunwoo asked. Partially true, So Young replied, scrolling through her readings. They clearly control a significant portion of the galaxy, but their methods seem to rely heavily on convincing species that resistance is futile, rather than actually demonstrating overwhelming force. Taemin leaned back in his chair. They made several references to species that refused their offer and were subsequently defeated, but they were vague about details. Classic intimidation tactics. Ji-Ho smiled grimly. They also assumed we would be impressed by their little display. They have no idea what human military doctrine actually looks like. They think showing us a few fancy ships will convince us they're invincible. Hyunwoo stood and walked back to the observation window. The alien ships were already disappearing into the distance, confident that they had delivered their message effectively. 30 days, he said quietly. More than enough time, So Young replied, still analyzing her data. Their arrogance is their weakness. They never seriously studied human nature or capabilities. They just assumed we would fit their expected pattern of primitive species grateful for guidance. They're about to learn something new about humanity, Ji-Ho said. Taemin activated his communication device. I need to contact Earth immediately. The President and the Joint Chiefs need to know exactly what we're dealing with. As Hyunwoo watched, the stars he thought about Veltoth's condescending smile and the casual way the aliens had threatened his species. They had made one critical error in their assessment of humanity. They had mistaken diplomatic politeness for submission and careful listening for primitive confusion. In 30 days, the Galactic Council would return expecting humanity's surrender. Instead, they would discover that Earth had been preparing for this moment far longer than they realized, and that underestimating humans was the most dangerous mistake they could possibly make. The emergency session of the World Council began 6 hours after the alien ships left Earth's orbital space. Representatives from every nation gathered in Geneva, their faces grave as they listened to Hyunwoo's report. President Daeun Song of the Unified Earth Government sat at the head of the massive table, her fingers steepled as she absorbed every detail of the encounter. They gave us 30 days, Hyunwoo concluded. After that, they expect complete submission to their galactic order. General Sung-Ho Yoon cleared his throat. Captain Kim, in your professional assessment, how serious is their threat? Very serious, sir. They have the ships and technology to carry out orbital bombardment. However, Dr. Park's analysis suggests they may not be as invincible as they want us to believe. So Young activated the holographic display at the center of the table. Images of the alien vessels appeared, rotating slowly as data streams scrolled alongside them. Their ships are large and impressive, but my scans revealed several concerning details. Their hull construction prioritizes intimidation over combat effectiveness. The energy signature suggests their weapons are designed for attacking undefended targets, not military engagement with a prepared enemy. Ambassador Taman leaned forward. They also relied heavily on psychological warfare during our meeting. Every statement was designed to convince us that resistance was hopeless. Classic intimidation tactics suggest they prefer submission without fighting. Dr. Yoonji Nam, Earth's leading expert in quantum warfare technology, studied the alien ship schematics. Their shield configurations are impressive, but follow predictable patterns. Any species that has held galactic dominance for 3,000 years would likely become complacent about their defensive systems. President Song turned to General Yoon. What is the current status of Project Silent Thunder? General Yoon smiled for the first time since the meeting began. Fully operational? Madam President, all phases are complete and ready for implementation. Captain Min-Soo Kang, commander of Earth's Hidden Fleet, activated his own holographic display. The room fell silent as images of sleek, deadly-looking spacecraft appeared above the table. Unlike the ornate alien vessels, these ships looked purely functional, designed for one purpose only. Earth has been building this fleet for 15 years, Min-Soo explained. Ever since we achieved faster-than-light travel, our military planners assumed we would eventually encounter hostile alien species. Project Silent Thunder represents humanity's prepared response to exactly this scenario. The assembled representatives stared at the display in amazement. The ships looked nothing like anything they had seen before, incorporating technologies that seemed almost impossibly advanced. Dr. Nam continued the briefing. Our fleet incorporates several revolutionary technologies, developed specifically for combat against unknown alien forces, adaptive shielding that learns enemy weapon signatures and adjusts defensive parameters in real time, quantum torpedo systems that can phase through conventional defensive barriers, modular ship designs that can separate into multiple attack units during combat. How many ships are we talking about? Asked the representative from Brazil. Currently, we have 200 fully operational vessels, General Yoon replied. Production facilities in orbit and on the moon can build additional ships at a rate of 50 per month if needed. President Song stood and walked to the holographic display. The aliens believe they are dealing with a primitive species that has just discovered space travel. They have no idea that humanity has been preparing for galactic contact for over a decade. Commander Ji-Ho Lee, who had remained quiet during most of the briefing, finally spoke. There's another factor to consider. During their visit, the aliens made several references to other species that had been corrected for refusing council membership. This suggests there may be potential allies out there who are already hostile to council rule. Excellent point, Taman agreed. If we can identify and contact these oppressed species, we might be able to build a coalition against the council. The discussion continued for 6 more hours as the World Council debated humanity's response. Some representatives argued for accepting the aliens' offer and working to improve Earth's position from within the galactic system. Others insisted that submission would mean the end of human independence forever. President Song finally called for a vote. All those in favor of accepting the Galactic Council's offer of membership? 3 hands rose. All those in favor of rejecting the offer and preparing for military resistance? The remaining 47 representatives raised their hands. The decision is made, President Song announced. Earth will reject the Galactic Council's ultimatum. General Yoon, please, implement all phases of Project Silent Thunder immediately. 28 days later, the alien fleet returned to Earth's solar system. This time they brought 200 ships arranged in perfect battle formation. The vessels were massive and intimidating, their hulls gleaming with weapon ports and shield generators. They took up positions around Earth, clearly prepared to enforce their ultimatum through overwhelming force. Hyunwoo stood on the bridge of Earth Station Alpha, watching the alien fleet position itself for orbital bombardment. Beside him, So-young monitored communication frequencies while Jiho coordinated with Earth's hidden fleet. Tae-min prepared to deliver humanity's response to the alien ultimatum. The same mechanical voice from their first encounter echoed through the station's communication system. "This is Council Administrator Veltoth. Your 30 days have expired. We require your immediate and unconditional surrender to Galactic Council authority." Tae-min activated the station's transmitters, sending his response on all frequencies so the entire alien fleet could hear. "This is Ambassador Tae-min Choi, speaking for the United Earth Government. After careful consideration, humanity respectfully declines the Galactic Council's offer of membership." A long pause followed Tae-min's words. When Veltoth finally responded, his voice carried a tone of disbelief. "You are refusing Council membership? This is most unexpected. Are you certain your primitive leadership understands the consequences of this decision?" "We understand completely," Tae-min replied calmly. "Earth chooses to remain independent." "Impossible," came a different alien voice. "No Category 7 species has ever refused Council guidance. Your decision demonstrates exactly the kind of irrational thinking that makes Council oversight necessary." Jiho stepped forward to the communication console. "Perhaps your Council has never encountered a species quite like humanity." Veltoth's laughter sounded like grinding metal. "Humanity is exactly like dozens of other species we have brought into the galactic community. You believe your primitive weapons and crude technology can resist our advanced civilization. We have heard such delusions before." On the tactical display, the alien ships began moving into bombardment position. Their massive weapons powered up, energy signatures visible even to Earth's basic sensors. 200 ships against one small orbital station appeared to be the most one-sided battle in galactic history. "This is your final opportunity," Veltoth announced. "Surrender now and your species will be granted the honor of serving the Council. Continue your foolish resistance, and we will demonstrate why the Council has ruled the galaxy for 3 millennia." Hyunwoo looked at his colleagues and smiled. "Admiral Hyejin Seo, are our forces ready?" A new voice crackled through the station's internal communication system. "Earth Defense Fleet is standing by, Captain. All ships are in position and awaiting your orders." So-young scanners detected massive energy buildups throughout the alien fleet. "They're preparing to fire. Estimated 30 seconds until bombardment begins." Tae-min opened the communication channel one final time. "Council Administrator Veltoth, I want you to remember this moment. Remember that you had the opportunity to establish peaceful relations with humanity. Remember that Earth offered friendship, and you responded with threats and ultimatums. Your words are meaningless," Veltoth replied. "Prepare to learn the price of defying the Galactic Council." The alien fleet's weapons reached full charge. 200 massive ships prepared to reduce Earth's orbital station to scattered debris. Confident that this display of overwhelming force would finally convince humanity to surrender. Instead, they were about to discover that Earth had been expecting this moment for 15 years, and that underestimating human preparation and determination was about to become the most costly mistake in galactic history. The alien bombardment began exactly as Veltoth had promised. Massive energy beams lanced out from the Council fleet, converging on Earth Station Alpha with devastating precision. The station's shields flared brilliant blue as they absorbed the incoming fire, but everyone watching expected them to fail within seconds. Instead, the shields held. Then they began to adapt. Admiral Hyejin Seo watched from the bridge of her flagship, hidden among a cluster of asteroids at the edge of the solar system. Her tactical display showed the alien fleet's positions, their weapon signatures, and their growing confusion as Earth Station Alpha refused to die under their bombardment. "Now they're wondering why our shields aren't collapsing," she said to her crew. "Let them puzzle over that for a few more minutes." On the station, So Young monitored her adaptive shielding systems with satisfaction. The alien weapons are following exactly the patterns we predicted. Our shields are learning their frequencies and adjusting defensive harmonics in real time. At this rate, they could fire for hours without significant damage. Hyunwoo activated the communication channel. Council Administrator Veltoth, your weapons seem to be malfunctioning. Perhaps you should have them serviced before attempting galactic conquest. The alien response crackled with fury. Impossible. Our weapons are the most advanced in the galaxy. No primitive species could possibly resist Council firepower. Primitive? Jiho laughed. You clearly haven't been paying attention. The alien fleet increased their bombardment intensity, pouring more energy into their attack. Additional ships moved forward to add their weapons to the barrage. The space around Earth Station Alpha filled with brilliant energy streams, but the station continued to function normally. Veltoth's voice carried a note of desperate anger. What trickery is this? Your shields cannot possibly withstand our full fleet. No trickery, Taemin replied calmly. Just human engineering. We've had plenty of time to prepare for this moment. Admiral Hae-jin decided the demonstration had continued long enough. She opened a channel to all Earth Defense Fleet vessels. All ships decloak and assume attack positions. Let's show our visitors what Earth really looks like when it's ready for war. The space around the alien fleet suddenly filled with human warships. They appeared from nowhere, their cloaking systems deactivating in perfect synchronization. What had appeared to be empty space now revealed 200 sleek, deadly vessels surrounding the alien formation. But these weren't the primitive ships the Council expected. Earth's fleet looked nothing like human technology from their first encounter. These vessels incorporated 15 years of advanced research, designed specifically for combat against unknown alien threats. What are those ships? The voice belonged to one of the four-armed aliens, his confident tone replaced by uncertainty. Colonel Dongwook Park, leading Earth's boarding teams from his assault ship, couldn't resist answering. Those are human warships, designed and built to protect our species from galactic bullies. I hope you brought more than 200 ships because this is about to become very embarrassing for the mighty Galactic Council. The alien fleet tried to change formation, but Earth ships had positioned themselves with tactical precision. Every alien vessel found itself targeted by multiple human ships, their escape routes blocked by careful positioning. Chief Engineer Bora Kim monitored the battle from her technical command ship. Her sensors were already analyzing alien technology in real time, identifying weaknesses and combat vulnerabilities. Admiral Hae-jin, I'm reading massive design flaws in their defensive systems. Their shields operate on fixed frequencies with no adaptive capability. Confirmed, Hae-jin replied. All ships target enemy shield generators with quantum torpedoes. Let's see how their advanced defenses handle weapons that phase through their protective barriers. The human fleet opened fire with weapons the aliens had never encountered. Quantum torpedoes passed through alien shields as if they didn't exist, striking hull plates and weapon systems directly. Energy beams adjusted their frequencies in real time to match alien shield harmonics, penetrating defenses that had protected Council ships for centuries. The first alien vessel exploded in spectacular fashion, its hull cracking apart as human weapons found critical systems. The second and third ships followed within seconds, their crews unable to comprehend how primitive weapons could possibly penetrate Council defenses. Impossible! Veltoth's voice carried pure panic now. Council ships are invulnerable. Our shields have protected us for 3,000 years. Your shields were designed to fight species using weapons similar to your own, Bora replied helpfully. Unfortunately for you, human weapons operate on completely different principles. We've been studying captured alien technology for 15 years, developing specific countermeasures for exactly this scenario. The battle turned into a systematic dismantling of Council forces. Human ships moved with precision and coordination that demonstrated advanced tactical training. Their weapons targeted specific systems rather than attempting to destroy alien vessels outright. Within 30 minutes, half the alien fleet was disabled, their crews alive but helpless. Dongwook's boarding teams launched from their assault ships, using advanced teleportation technology to appear directly inside alien vessels. The Council crews had no experience with boarding actions, having relied on long-range intimidation for centuries. They surrendered quickly when faced with human soldiers who had trained specifically for ship-to-ship combat. "Admiral, we've secured the Council flagship," Dongwook reported. "Council Administrator Veltoth and his command staff are in custody. They seem to be in shock." "Bring them to the primary briefing room," Hyojin ordered. "I think it's time for a proper conversation about galactic politics." The remaining alien ships attempted to retreat, but Earth's fleet had positioned itself to prevent escape. Human vessels using advanced propulsion systems easily kept pace with the fleeing Council ships, herding them back toward Earth like sheep. "This is impossible," the four-armed alien transmitted on open channels. "The Council has never been defeated in battle. We are the supreme military force in the galaxy." Captain Minsu Kang, commanding the pursuit squadron, responded with amusement. "You were the supreme military force in a galaxy where nobody ever fought back effectively. Unfortunately for you, humans have been preparing for war since before. We achieved spaceflight. We take combat very seriously." Within 2 hours, the entire alien fleet was either destroyed or captured. Earth's losses amounted to superficial damage on 6 ships and no casualties. The mighty Galactic Council fleet that had arrived to crush human resistance lay scattered throughout Earth's solar system, testament to the danger of underestimating human military capability. Bora's engineering teams were already swarming over captured alien vessels, reverse engineering their technology and identifying additional weaknesses. "Admiral, these ships are even more primitive than our initial scans suggested. Their technology hasn't advanced significantly in centuries. They've been relying on reputation and intimidation rather than actual innovation." In the briefing room, aboard Hyojin's flagship, Veltoth sat across from Hyunwoo, his dark eyes wide with disbelief. The proud Council Administrator who had spoken so condescendingly about human primitiveness now looked like a frightened child. "How?" Veltoth whispered. "Your species was classified as Category 7. You should have been helpless against our fleet." "Your classification system has some serious flaws," Hyunwoo replied. "You judged human technology based on what we chose to show you during our first meeting. You never considered that a species might deliberately appear weaker than they actually are. But your orbital station, your primitive construction methods, were carefully designed to look exactly as primitive as we wanted them to look," So Young explained. "We've been expecting this encounter ever since we achieved faster-than-light travel. Every piece of technology we showed you was chosen to reinforce your assumptions about human capabilities." Jiho leaned forward. "The real question now is what happens next. Your council believed it could intimidate humanity into submission. Instead, you've discovered that humans don't respond well to threats and ultimatums. We prefer to settle our differences through negotiation, but we're very good at war when negotiation fails." Veltoth stared at the humans in growing horror as he finally understood the magnitude of his mistake. The species he had dismissed as primitive had not only defeated his fleet but had been planning for this confrontation for over a decade. They had allowed him to believe in their weakness while preparing weapons specifically designed to counter Council technology. "What do you want from us?" he asked quietly. Taemin smiled diplomatically. "Now that's the first intelligent question you've asked since arriving at Earth. Let's discuss the future of galactic politics, shall we?" Intelligence Director Yejin Lim stood before the massive data screens in Earth's new intelligence facility, built inside a captured Council command ship. 3 weeks had passed since the battle, and her teams had been working around the clock to extract information from alien databases and interrogate captured Council personnel. "What have we learned?" President Da-Un Song asked as she entered the secure briefing room. Yejin activated the holographic display, showing a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy. Red zones marked Council-controlled territories, while yellow, areas indicated species under Council dominance. The Galactic Council controls approximately 40% of inhabited star systems, but their control is much weaker than they pretended. Most subject species were intimidated into submission rather than actually conquered. Ambassador Subin O studied the display with growing interest, She had been appointed as Earth's new galactic diplomatic representative, tasked with building relationships beyond the Council's influence. How many species are we talking about? Over 300 intelligent species fall under Council authority, Yejin replied. But our interrogations reveal that at least 60% of them joined only after being threatened with destruction. Many of these species have been waiting for someone to challenge Council dominance. Admiral Jae-sung Bae, newly promoted to head Earth's rapid expansion fleets, leaned forward. What about their military capabilities? We destroyed their fleet easily, but surely they have more ships. That's the interesting part. Yejin smiled grimly. Council military doctrine hasn't evolved in over 500 years. They became so confident in their intimidation tactics that they stopped innovating. Most of their advanced technology is actually centuries old, maintained rather than improved. President Song walked closer to the galactic map. Show me the species most likely to support a rebellion against the Council. The display changed, highlighting several star systems in blue. These are species that were recently conquered or have shown signs of resistance. The Mokari were defeated only 50 years ago and still maintain underground resistance movements. The Thekvar have repeatedly petitioned for independence and been refused. The Yelnathi lost their homeworld to Council pacification and were relocated to labor colonies. Subin made notes as she studied each highlighted system. Have we made contact with any of these species? Preliminary contact with the Mokari began yesterday, Yejin replied. They're very interested in Earth's proposal for a galactic alliance, based on mutual cooperation rather than dominance. Admiral Jae-sung activated his tactical display. My fleets are already positioned to liberate 3 Council labor worlds simultaneously. The attacks are scheduled for tomorrow morning. We'll free the enslaved populations and offer them protection under Earth's alliance. What about Council response? President Song asked. That's where things get interesting, Yejin said, pulling up communication intercepts. We've been monitoring Council emergency sessions since our victory. They're in complete panic. Half their leadership wants to negotiate with Earth, while the other half demands massive retaliation. The displays showed recordings of Council debates, translated into human languages. Alien voices argued desperately about how to respond to humanity's unexpected resistance. Some Council members insisted that Earth must be destroyed immediately, while others pointed out that the Council no longer had sufficient military force to guarantee victory. They never expected anyone to fight back effectively, Subin observed. Their entire system depends on other species believing resistance is hopeless. Exactly, Yejin agreed. But now we've proven that Council technology can be defeated. Word is already spreading through the galaxy. Resistance movements on dozens of worlds are becoming more active. Admiral Jae-sung's communication device chimed. The liberation fleets are reporting success. All 3 Council labor worlds have been secured with minimal resistance. Local populations are celebrating their freedom. President Song smiled. How are the freed species responding to our alliance offer? Enthusiastically, Jae-sung replied. The Zephyrians have already provided intelligence about Council military installations in their sector. The Kelvani are offering their shipbuilding facilities to help expand our fleet. The Ostari want to contribute their advanced sensor technology to our cause. Yejin activated a new display showing rapidly changing political alignments across the galaxy. The Council's authority is collapsing faster than we anticipated. Species that were afraid to resist are now openly declaring independence. 3. Major worlds have expelled their Council administrators and requested Earth protection. How quickly can we expand our fleet to protect all these new allies? President Song asked. Earth's orbital shipyards are already working at full capacity, Admiral Jae-sung reported. But our new allies are contributing their own manufacturing capabilities. Combined production should give us over 1,000 ships within 6 months. Subin studied reports from the liberated worlds. The intelligence we're gathering from freed populations is invaluable. Many of these species have detailed knowledge of Council military positions, supply routes, and political weaknesses. Speaking of intelligence, Yejin said, activating another display. We've discovered something very important about Council leadership structure. The 12 ruling species aren't actually united. 3 of them have been plotting against the others for decades. They're only held together by fear of external threats. And now we've become that external threat, President Song observed. Are any of them willing to break away from the council? The Vorthaki contacted us secretly yesterday, Yejin replied. They're willing to defect if we guarantee their independence. The Zeltar are also showing interest, though they're being more cautious. Admiral Jae Sung pulled up tactical reports from across human-controlled space. Our rapid expansion is working. Every world we liberate provides more resources and allies. The Council can't respond fast enough to stop the momentum. What's their current military strength? President Song asked. Greatly reduced, Yejin replied. Our victory at Earth destroyed their primary battle fleet. Intelligence suggests they have perhaps 300 ships remaining, scattered across their territory. Most are older vessels with the same vulnerabilities we exploited in the first battle. Subin activated her diplomatic communications. I'm receiving requests for alliance meetings from over 40 species. Word of Earth's victory has spread throughout the galaxy faster than Council authorities can suppress it. The Council's biggest weapon was always fear, Yejin explained. They convinced the galaxy that resistance was impossible. Now that we've proven otherwise, that fear is turning into hope. President Song walked to the main display showing the expanding network of Earth allies in liberated worlds. How long? Before we have enough strength to challenge the Council directly, at current expansion rates we'll outnumber their remaining forces within 3 months, Admiral Jae Sung calculated. But more importantly, we'll have the support of most galactic species. The Council is becoming increasingly isolated. Are they still trying to negotiate? Subin asked. Yejin laughed. They're sending desperate diplomatic messages offering to recognize Earth as an independent world if we stop liberating their subjects. They're even offering to upgrade our galactic classification to Category 3. Too little. Too late, President Song said firmly. They had their chance for peaceful coexistence. They chose intimidation and threats instead. The briefing continued as reports poured in from across the galaxy. Species after species was declaring independence from Council rule. Earth's alliance grew stronger each day, while Council authority crumbled. The galactic political structure, that had remained stable for 3 millennia, was collapsing within weeks of humanity's first military victory. Ma'am, Admiral Jae Sung said, reviewing the latest tactical reports, I recommend we begin planning the final assault on the Council's capital world. Our intelligence indicates their remaining forces are concentrated there for a last desperate defense. President Song nodded slowly. Prepare the combined fleet. It's time to finish what the Council started when they threatened Earth. The galaxy is going to learn what happens when you underestimate human determination and unity. The combined fleet that approached the Galactic Council's capital world was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Over 1,500 ships from dozens of species moved in perfect formation through space, their hulls bearing the symbols of the new Galactic Federation of Free Worlds. At their head flew Earth's flagship, commanded by Fleet Admiral Wan Ho Jung. President Da-Un Song stood on the flagship's bridge, watching the massive Council citadel grow larger on the main display. The ancient structure orbited the Council capital world like a small moon, its crystalline spires reaching out into space like grasping fingers. For 3,000 years, this citadel had been the center of galactic government, the place where 12 species decided the fate of hundreds of others. Long-range sensors are detecting the Council's remaining fleet, reported Captain Hyun-Woo Kim, now serving as tactical coordinator for the combined forces. Approximately 200 ships in defensive formation around the citadel. Ambassador Seokjin Ryu, Earth's new representative to the galactic community, monitored communication frequencies. The Council is broadcasting surrender offers on all channels. They're promising to recognize the Federation and negotiate a peaceful transition of power. Admiral Wan Ho smiled grimly. After 3 months of fighting across the galaxy, they're finally ready to talk. How convenient. The past 3 months had seen the complete collapse of Council authority. World after world had declared independence, often with the support of Federation liberation fleets. The mighty Galactic Council, that had ruled for millennia now controlled only their capital system and a handful of loyal worlds. "President Song," came a voice from the communication console. "The Council is requesting immediate negotiations. They're offering to divide galactic territory between the Federation and their remaining loyal systems. Tell them we'll be happy." "To discuss terms," President Song replied calmly. "After they surrender unconditionally, the Federation fleet took up positions around the Council citadel, their weapons powered, but not yet fired. Ships from dozens of species that had once cowered before Council authority now formed an overwhelming display of unified strength. Mokari cruisers flew alongside human destroyers, while Thekvar battleships coordinated with Yelnathi fighters. Dr. So-Young Park, now serving as the Federation's chief science advisor, analyzed the Citadel's defensive systems from her mobile laboratory ship. Their shields are impressive but follow the same predictable patterns as their fleet technology. Our quantum weapons should penetrate their defenses easily. "I'm detecting massive energy buildups throughout the Citadel," reported Chief Engineer Bora Kim from her technical command vessel. "They're preparing their ultimate weapon, whatever that might be." The Citadel suddenly blazed with brilliant energy as ancient weapon systems activated. Massive beams lanced out toward the Federation fleet, weapons that had not been fired in centuries. The display was impressive and terrifying, but the Federation ships were ready. Human adaptive shielding had been shared with all Federation members, and every ship in the fleet incorporated the technology that had defeated the Council's first attack on Earth. The ancient weapons struck Federation shields and were absorbed harmlessly, their energy signatures analyzed and countered in real time. "Their ultimate weapons are even more outdated than their regular fleet," So-Young reported with amusement. "Our shields adapted to their frequencies before they finished firing." Admiral Wanho opened communication channels to the entire Council citadel. "This is Fleet Admiral Wanho Young of the Galactic Federation of Free Worlds. Your weapons have failed, your fleet is outnumbered, and your authority has collapsed across the galaxy. I strongly recommend surrender." The response came from Veltoth, the same Council administrator who had first visited Earth with such arrogance. His voice now carried the weight of defeat and desperate fear. "Admiral Jung, surely we can reach some accommodation. The Council has governed the galaxy for 3 millennia. We have experience and knowledge that could benefit your Federation. You had your opportunity for cooperation when you first encountered humanity," President Song replied, her voice carrying across all frequencies. "You chose intimidation and threats instead. Now you'll live with the consequences of that decision." Inside the Council chambers, the 12 ruling species gathered for what they all knew would be their final meeting as galactic overlords. The proud aliens who had once dismissed humanity as primitive now faced the complete destruction of their galactic empire at human hands. "How did this happen?" demanded the silver-haired Althari representative, his voice shaking with rage and disbelief. "One primitive species has destroyed everything we built." "They weren't primitive," Veltoth replied quietly. "We never bothered to truly assess their capabilities. We assumed they would follow the pattern of every other species we had encountered." The four-armed Griseldi counselor slammed his hands on the ancient table. "Our military advisors assured us that no Category 7 species could possibly resist our forces. Where did humans acquire such advanced technology?" "They developed it themselves," came a new voice. The chamber fell silent as Zarthek of the E. Corvani entered, his blue-gray skin now scarred from battle wounds. He had been commanding Council forces during the Federation's liberation campaigns. "Human innovation and adaptability exceed anything we've seen in recorded galactic history." "Impossible," insisted the Vorthaki representative. "No species develops advanced military technology that quickly. Humans have been preparing for galactic contact since they achieved spaceflight," Zarthek explained. "While we grew complacent, with centuries of unchallenged authority, they spent decades developing weapons specifically designed to counter advanced alien technology. Outside the Citadel, Federation forces waited patiently for the Council's final decision. More ships arrived, hourly as additional species joined the Federation and contributed their fleets to the cause. The balance of power had shifted so completely that Council resistance was no longer merely futile, it was absurd. Federation Fleet, this is Council Administrator Veltoth, came the transmission they had all been waiting for. The Galactic Council formally surrenders to Federation authority. We request safe passage for our personnel and protection for Council-loyal worlds. President Song exchanged glances with Admiral Wanho before responding. Council Administrator, the Federation will accept your surrender under the following conditions. All Council military forces will stand down immediately. All oppressed species will be granted immediate independence. War crimes committed against subjugated populations will be investigated and prosecuted. Council assets will be redistributed to species harmed by your policies. The communication channel remained silent for several minutes. Finally, Veltoth responded with a voice heavy with defeat. The Council accepts your terms. Ambassador Seok Jin activated the Federation's primary communication array, broadcasting to every inhabited world in the galaxy. Citizens of the galaxy, this is Ambassador Seok Jin Ryu of the Galactic Federation of Free Worlds. The Galactic Council has surrendered unconditionally. The age of species domination and galactic tyranny is over. The Federation offers membership to all species based on equality, mutual respect, and voluntary cooperation. In the council chambers, the 12 ruling species sat in stunned silence. The empire they had ruled for 3,000 years had collapsed in less than 6 months, destroyed by a species they had dismissed as primitive. Their mighty fleets lay scattered across the galaxy, their authority shattered, their subjects liberated. How did we underestimate them so completely? Whispered the Thalorian counselor. We forgot something important about evolution and survival, Veltoth replied slowly. The most dangerous species in the galaxy isn't the one with the biggest ships or the most advanced technology. It's the one that never stops fighting, never stops innovating, and never accepts defeat as final. Fleet Admiral Wanho watched from his bridge as council ships powered down their weapons and activated surrender beacons. The Federation fleet that had seemed impossible just months ago now controlled the most important system in the galaxy. President Song activated the ship's internal communication system. Citizens of Earth and all Federation worlds, this is President Da-Yun Song. Today marks the beginning of a new age in galactic history. No longer will advanced species dominate primitive ones. No longer will threats and intimidation determine galactic policy. The Federation stands for cooperation, equality, and the right of all species to determine their own destinies. As the Federation fleet took control of the Council Citadel, the former galactic overlords could only sit in silence, finally understanding that their greatest mistake had been assuming that humanity would respond to threats the same way other species had. They had forgotten that some species, when cornered and threatened, don't submit. They fight back.